Hello, and welcome to Uncluttered, the podcast where we talk about the connection between faith and organizing. Our focus is not just on the how of being organized, but the why it's important from a biblical standpoint to leave the chaos and clutter in our lives behind. Hi, I'm Liana George. I'm an author and former professional organizer living in Houston, Texas.
And I'm Angie Heitch. I'm an author and certified professional organizer living in East Tennessee. So, are you ready to unclutter your heart and home so you can focus on what matters most? Let's dive in.
I don't know about you, Angie, but it is so hard for me to believe that this is not only the last episode for season 2 of the Uncluttered podcast, but that there are only 19 more days until 2024.
Completely crazy. Yeah, I cannot even believe it. It has flown by. Everything always, does anything ever go slower than you think? Hardly ever. It's usually
No,
faster.
hardly ever. No, time always has a way of going faster, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, it's like you blink and another year has gone by.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, which means that the presents are going to be put away here pretty soon. The Christmas decorations are going to be stored back in their proper places,
Yeah.
right?
Hopefully we're
And
doing that. Yeah.
right in a few weeks. Because at this point we are at the beginning of December. And so it's going to happen very quickly. And people are going to start shifting their attention to New Year, right? Which always means that they're going to start noodling on those New Year resolutions. So do you make New Year's resolutions?
I don't have a really consistent practice on this, which is very unusual, especially for an organizer.
Yeah.
Some years I do. Some years I do a one-word theme. My church usually has a kind of a seminar for that. Oddly, sometimes I'll make the theme and I'll be all gung-ho and excited about it. And then you ask me in April, what's your theme? I don't even remember. So not great. I like author and podcaster Gretchen Rubin. And so she and her sister Elizabeth on the Happier podcast, they talk about each year they do so for 24, they'll do a 24 for 24. And that will be 24 things they want to do in the year 2024. And some of them will be just fun, really easy things. Some will be more like a goal or resolution. So some years I do that.
Okay.
I'm kind of like all over the map as far as that. What about you? Do you make resolutions?
Not really. I've done in the past, I've done vision boards at the beginning of each year. I love being able to take just a blank cardboard and just let my brain explore what the possibilities might be, for the next 365 days.
Yeah.
And then I always enjoy looking back at it at the end of the year and then see what actually came to pass. And it never ceased to amaze me how much actually came true. And so I guess it was my brain kind of going, I want this to happen. And then, just putting that intention out there. So I enjoy that.
Interesting.
But I do know that for a lot of people, making New Year's resolutions is a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal. And of course, because we know this as organizers, statistically, getting organized is one of the top goals for people it always makes the top 5. It's going to be one of the things they want to accomplish in the new year.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So in that fact is it's so common for people to want to get organized that NAPO, which is National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, they always call January of every year is Go Month, GO for Get Organized. So there's always just a lot of education out there. Organizers tend to be starting to get busy January, February, as people have these goals to get organized. And, as an organizer, and for you, a former organizer, I still get excited about that time of year because I love to see people making goals and reaching those goals, especially when it involves organizing and simplifying their lives.
Yeah, you and me both, definitely. And the thing is, though, we know that resolutions, as great as they are, we don't see a lot of people succeeding from them. And especially in the getting organized category, right? I mean, you mentioned this before, and just when we were talking, January, you think, oh, organizers are like super busy, right? But they're not, because usually people are trying to do it on their own. And then it's by February when it starts to tick up, because that's when people are like, okay, I failed. I can't
Yeah.
do this on my own.
Okay, fine. I'm going to bring in the forces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
the thing is, it's not because they're not capable. We've talked so many times, both season 1 and season 2, that being organized is a skill that anybody can learn, right?
Mhm.
It is not something intrinsic to certain people, right?
Right.
It's not like God was like, well, here you go. You can be organized and you can be organized and you can be organized. Oh, but you and you, you're on your own there. Good luck with that,
Yeah.
and it's not like he did that. I really think it's because people aren't prepared ahead of time. I
Mm.
think they just want to jump into it gung ho and don't realize that the key to your success is preparation. And
Mm.
so, for this last episode of season 2, we want to help you get set up for success early, early, early. That's why we're doing this at the beginning of December, so that
Yes.
you have the next few weeks to really put into action what we're talking about here, so you can be more organized in 2024.
Yes. Awesome. I love it. And so, just like we do with every episode of Uncluttered, we're going to always start with encouragement from the Bible. So, in this episode, specifically, since we're talking about the importance of being prepared, then I'm going to read a story. We both love stories.
Mm-hmm.
That our main scripture is going to be a parable, a story that Jesus tells that perfectly illustrates the importance of preparedness. So this
Mm.
parable is from Matthew 25. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish one took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. Okay, so we're not necessarily all that into using lamps with oil, but so imagine it would, if you had the lamp, it could burn for a little while, but eventually you're going to run out of oil. Okay. So they took their lamps, but they didn't take any oil. This is the 5 foolish. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. That sounds like me. At midnight, the cry rang out, "Here's the bridegroom, come out, groom, come out to meet him." All the virgins woke up and trimmed or lit their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, hey, give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out. No, they replied, there may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later, the others also came. Lord, Lord, they said, open the door for us. But he replied, truly, I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. So obviously, this passage was referring to Jesus' second coming, but it does really give us a good lesson on what happens when we aren't prepared. And that is that when we're not prepared, we're going to miss some of the blessings.
Yeah. Yeah. And as professional organizers, we've worked with hundreds of clients that, Angie and I are aware of what can happen and what they do miss out on because they aren't prepared, because they didn't take that
Yes.
time. So many times, I've heard this so many times, people are going to say on January 1st, this is it. This is the year I'm going to get organized, and then they think it's as simple as just getting rid of a few things, right? I threw some things out, I decluttered, and then I get to go to the container store, which, yay, is always fun. Yes, we love the container store, right? And they think it's just buying some really cute bins and some baskets and throwing some labels on there, and then, wow, I'm done. I'm organized, right? But when things fall apart in a few weeks, then they're just like, okay, I stink at this. I'm not successful. I can never be organized. I just give up, right? And then they miss out on the blessing. And so we really want to take the time to help people, especially our listeners, find that success.
Yes.
In their organizing efforts.
Yeah, we don't want that kind of scenario to happen to any of our listeners. We want you to be able to have all the blessings that an organized life can offer, and they are many. Yeah. So let's talk about what are some of the things that our listeners can do in 2024 to be prepared so they can be organized, so that 2024 could be their most organized year.
Yeah. So, we titled this episode "Paving a Way to a More Organized New Year." And so, when you're on the path, usually you have some stepping stones. And so we want to offer you 5 stepping stones. Of course, going back to that alliteration, we want to make it easy for you to remember. So you got the
Love it.
stepping stones and you've got everything starting with an S. So hopefully that will help you remember that in these weeks to come. And I'm going to start us off with number 1, which is state your why. Okay. And honestly, this, I can't state how important this is,
Yeah.
but it's so often overlooked, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have a strong sense of why you want to get organized in this new year, then when things start getting difficult, which they will, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, they will,
Yep. Yeah,
then
they will.
yeah, they will. We've been there, done that, right? It's going to be easier for you to give up. And so if you know your why, and you can clearly define it, then you can, when you are faced with those difficult moments, um, you can go, you know what, I got to keep doing this because I want more peace in my life. I want better relationships with my family. I want to have people over. And that's what's going to help you break through the difficulty, overcome it. I don't care if you have to go through it, around it, up it, down it, but whatever it is, that is going to be what keeps you going, is your
Mhm.
why. So take some time, really pray about it, think about it, write it down, and then post that somewhere
Mhm.
so you can see it and let it motivate you on the days when you're like, I am so not wanting to declutter this closet right now, but you'll be able to have the motivation squarely in front of you.
Yeah, I think that is key, and it is usually the step that gets skipped
Mhm.
because we just want to buy the cool containers. And we both love cool containers.
We do.
Containers may or
Absolutely.
may not be part of your process, but you've got to start with the stating of the why. And that, I mean, that's some deep thought work right there. And you
It
may
is.
want to, talk to the other people in the family. What's happening with what are some consequences of our disorganization? So, okay, we're going to make it better. So start with the why. That's great. All right. Second stepping stone, we are sticking with the S's and we are going to set SMART goals
Mm.
as it pertains to being organized. So if you're not familiar with SMART goals, or hear it again anyway, because I think they're super important. So SMART, acrostic SMART goals. So the S is for specific. It is exactly what you're going to do. M is for measurable. It means that you can tell at the end whether you've done it or not. It's easy to measure. A is achievable, meaning it is realistic that this goal could be finished. R is for relevant, something that will benefit your life. It'll make you happier, healthier, more successful in some way. And then the T is time bound. You
Mm.
have a specific time frame or schedule for it. So let's talk about an organizing goal and an example of one that is not a SMART goal and one that is, and how just uh, making these in terms of SMART goals can make a big difference. So let's say someone beginning of 2024, I am going to organize my house this year.
Mm. Which
That's
we
my
hear a
goal.
lot. Yep. It's very
All
common.
right. And we're all excited that you want to be organized. That's great. But that doesn't fit any of the SMART categories. It's not specific. It's the whole house. It's not measurable. How are you going to know when it's done?
Yeah.
Achievable, maybe not, but it's hard to tell. Relevant, yeah, I think it would improve your life, but time bound, maybe it doesn't make the criteria. So let's drill it down. Let's pick a goal that fits SMART goal. All right. So let's say this is a very common problem. Someone's garage is
Mm.
so cluttered that there's stuff all over the floor. They can't park both their cars in there. And in the mornings, it's time to get out, get ready for school or for work or errands or whatever. And all that clutter's in the way, and the cars are outside and it's freezing cold. So here's a SMART goal for organizing. By the end of February, I will organize the garage. I'll know I've succeeded if there's nothing on the floor and I'm able to park both cars in the garage. So it's going to be easier for me to get in and out of the house in the mornings. All right.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that one fits all the criteria. Okay. Specific. It's specific to the garage. We got one area. Measurable. already said the way I'm going to know I'm successful is I can get both the cars on there and the floor is cleared. Achievable? Yes, because it's one area, it's just one small thing that is doable. Relevant? Absolutely. It's going to benefit their life by making their mornings a lot easier getting the cars in and out. And then time bound, end of February is the goal. So it meets all the criteria. That is a really, really smart in all the ways, smart on the acrostic and just a goal that you're a lot more likely to achieve these goals if they are SMART goals.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Definitely.
success breeds success. So we
Yes.
want you to be successful.
Absolutely, we do. One thing that, and this leads us into number 3, our third stepping stone is, you set this time, right? Say you're going to do it by the end of February. Um, that's great, but you still need to set a timeline and schedule the
Yes.
work. So that is number 3, set a timeline, schedule the work. Because just because you say end of February, that doesn't mean that it's just going to happen. You have to, um, I know I've said this before, and I'm going to say broken record, but you have to schedule the work or else it doesn't get done. Because what gets scheduled gets done, and it's one of the biggest issues for people. Because if you ask people why can you not get organized, the answer: I don't have the time.
Yep.
I can't find the time. But the truth is you can't make it or find it. It's you have to be intentional and make it. And that's how you do it on your calendar, right? So you need to go through and you need to look your January's and February or whatever your deadline is, if it's a few weeks, if whatever it is, and write it on the calendar, schedule and make an appointment with yourself to organize and declutter. Even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes,
Yep.
there's a lot you can do in that short amount of time. And so don't just make the SMART goals, make sure you're implementing ways to achieve the goals by scheduling the work.
Yes. Excellent. And speaking of the 10 or 15 minutes, the next stepping stone is start small. So no matter
Yeah.
how big the task is, it's always just a combination of little short steps. Not only are you not able to organize the whole house in um, a day, a month, or maybe even a year, depending on how bad it is, uh,
Right.
but to be, and unless you're the Flash, or I don't really know superheroes all that well, but uh,
Right.
only if we start small with doable steps we're just going to have more chance for success. We did talk about this a lot. Season 1, episode 8, which is bigger isn't always better, is a really good one to go back to if you want to get more in depth about starting small. So you may start with a drawer, start with a pile of papers, start with one section of your closet, whatever it is, and work your way up. And doing that, you're going to build that muscle. So then you can work on larger projects and maintain the momentum that you've got going.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like a muscle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Developing that organizing skill is like a muscle. It's like, one of the major resolutions everybody's going to make is going to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to lose weight, get in shape, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Which is great. One of the things I said for myself for 2023, and when I first went in, I didn't go in and I started lifting 100 pounds. It's just not going to happen, because if it did, one, I would probably hurt myself. It would not be pretty at all. No one wants to see that. So, it's crazy to think that I could do that. No, I had to go in and I had to start small. I had to start with 5 pounds, and I had to stay with 5 pounds for probably, a good 3 to 4, 6 weeks. And then I got to go to 10 pounds. And then once I got stronger with 10 pounds, I could go to 20 and 25 and on and on and on. But, it's the same with organizing. You just can't go in there and say, I'm going to do it all this weekend. It's not realistic. So prepare by starting small. Prepare your heart and your mind for small, because that's what's going to give you success, because you're going to get that momentum. You're going to be like, hey, look, I did this. And then you're going to get really excited and you're going to want to go to the next project and you're going to do it and you're going to get, so it builds, that momentum builds, but
It
not
really
if
does.
you try to tackle too much too soon.
Yep, absolutely builds. Yeah. All right. So we've got one last stepping stone. Leanna, what is our last S?
Our last S is steeling yourself for setbacks. Okay. Because like we said, they're bound to happen.
Hmm.
It's something that's going to pop up on your calendar. You're going to sit there and you're going to go, okay, I'm going to set a timeline. I'm going to schedule myself. And then boom, you get called into work, or boom, the babysitter you hired so you could work in the garage undistracted says, I can't do it this weekend. Right. And then you're just like, oh, see, I should never started. This is why I cannot be organized. So don't let those setbacks stand in your way. Um, it's just they're going to happen.
Hmm.
If it doesn't happen with that, then it's going to happen with you finally do get things decluttered, and then your family comes in and they throw their stuff back, and you're like, but I just cleaned that up,
Yep, absolutely.
and so you'll be like, oh, forget it, I'm not going to do this because y'all just mess it up again. So don't freak out, when setbacks stand in the way. Just know that they are, and when you're prepared, then you're better mentally able to say, okay, these are going to come up. They talked about this.
Uh-huh.
What am I going to do instead? Right? Instead of just being so thrown off your game that you just falter and fall to pieces. Because really, organizing is a process, it is a lifestyle change, and you
Hmm.
have to adapt to this new way of living. You have to figure out what's going to work and what's not working, and you're going to have to adjust accordingly. And so you need to prepare yourself mentally for that, and then be willing to be gracious and gentle with yourself.
Yes, and that is key right there. I could not agree more. And so many times when those setbacks happen, whether it's something outside of our control or just with us, I mean, we may just one day just like, I am just not feeling it. I'm not doing it. But we just beat ourselves up, just think
Mhm.
all negative. You are such a and then it's over. So I think we have to give ourselves grace. We
We
have
do.
to, we're all human. We, nobody is doing this perfectly.
No.
Even us as professionals.
Oh gosh,
So
no. Yeah.
when when those setbacks happen, you might just have to, okay, let me just take a step back. All right, let me reassess. Okay, this worked, but this didn't. Okay, so what was it about the first, and just make those adjustments and keep going.
Yeah, but you have to be prepared for them. So you
Yes.
definitely do. So we covered a lot of ground today. And so let's quickly summarize how our listeners can pave a way to more organized life.
Right.
And the key, like we said, being prepared. When
Mhm.
we're not, we can miss out on huge blessings, as we learn from our scripture in Matthew. And then the path to preparation is lined with 5 stepping stones, which are state your why, set smart goals, set a timeline and schedule the work, start small, and steel yourself for setbacks. And if you can successfully maneuver through these stones, we are confident. Angie and I truly, truly believe that you will find organizing success in the new year.
Yes, you will. All right. So that is it for our 10th and final episode of season 2 of the
Oh,
Uncluttered podcast. And we hope that you have enjoyed this season as much as we have. We have really enjoyed diving deep in all of the different kinds of clutter and then talking about hospitality and simplifying the seasons and now getting started going into early 2024 with some goals for getting organized. So we will definitely be back sometime
mhm.
in January with season 3. And we will also be sharing some information about our upcoming Uncluttered devotional book that'll be releasing in June. We are super excited about the book. So we'll be giving our listeners some sneak peeks into the material right here on the podcast. So be sure to come back and join us for season 3 in the new year.
Yes. So until then, you can catch up on all episodes of seasons 1 and 2. Read our monthly blog post on our website, uncluttered.faith. And while you're there, be sure to grab our free decluttering signs, which can be a huge help. So go ahead and get those printed out, be
Mhm.
prepared, and have them ready to go as you work on your organizing goals in 2024. And if you want to help others learn more about us, the podcast, or our upcoming devotional, please leave a review or rating. It truly does make a difference.
Mhm.
So until next season, remember, an uncluttered life is an abundant life.